So the 2019 offseason has just turned into one big family reunion for every team across the NFL. First, the Patriots, they bring back Ben Watson and Jamie Collins, and now the Baltimore Ravens are kicking it old school with Pernell Mcphee. Pernell Mcphee has re-signed and rejoined the Baltimore Ravens after leaving back in 2014, that offseason after a career season, and leaving to go to Chicago, where he had some success with the Bears for a couple of seasons there, but didn't really turn out to be the full pass rusher, the 10-sack guy that they were hoping to get in Chicago. Chicago let him go last season. He barely produced anything for Washington. He didn't even start a game. He only played 13 games. He did not start one. He only had 11 tackles in general, didn't put up a single sack, so he was not utilized in Washington's defense. He was just a depth role player that really didn't help that defense. For Baltimore, I think he can come in and just at the very least, add some depth to a position of need for the Ravens. The edge position was a huge position of need after losing Zadarius Smith to the Green Bay Packers. CJ Mosley is now left inside linebacker, but still another linebacker who left to the New York Jets. So you just need to add some depth to this edge position. Now, the Ravens have spent some draft capital on this position over the last couple of years, whether that's Bowser or Ferguson or Tim Williams. They've really utilized a lot of their draft picks, a lot of their draft assets on this position. So with that being said, McPhee is probably not going to have a chance to start, at least right away, or even have an important role on this defense. But if you see what he did in the past, he was made for this defense. I mean, McPhee was a perfect Baltimore Raven from his size, 6'3", 265, just a big man, very strong, very hard to get off in terms of in the run game. He was excelling in terms of block shedding, getting after running backs, just taking down runners in the backfield and making plays. He wasn't the greatest pass rusher. I mean, he produced. He had 6 sack seasons, 7.5 sack seasons, but he's more of the power type of player. He just kind of messes plays up, blows plays up in the backfield. He just makes plays in general, and that was what McPhee was as a Baltimore Raven. He had 26 quarterback hits in 2014, 18 with Chicago in 2015. He had 6 sacks in 2011. He contributed to the Super Bowl winning team in 2012. He's had some success as a Baltimore Raven. What he did for Baltimore was out of this world in terms of his scheme and positional versatility. I mean, this guy played linebacker, this guy played edge, this guy played D-end, and he even played a little bit of defensive tackle in 2012. He played everywhere, and that speaks to how powerful he is as a defender. I mean, he's 6'3", 265, which is a big outside linebacker edge defender. But to be able to play a little bit of D tackle, a little bit of D end, that's extremely impressive for a player of that size. And that just speaks to how powerful he is in the run game and how disruptive he is as a pass rusher. So if he can get anywhere close to where he was as a Baltimore Raven, I think Ravens fans will love this pickup overall. I think, like I said, he was made to be a Raven. He fits their scheme perfectly. Hopefully they can still get something out of him, and I believe they will get something out of him, at the very least as a depth player who, if somebody goes down, he can come in and he can produce and he can play a role. And in the very least, he can just come in on run situations and help out there. Maybe he can help out as a pass rusher, maybe an interior pass rusher on 3rd and long situations. They can utilize him in so many different ways, which is why I've always really liked Pernell Mcphee as a football player. And like I said, he's just been perfect for the Baltimore Ravens. He looks like a Baltimore Raven. He plays like a Baltimore Raven. It's everything about him is a Baltimore Raven. So I'm happy to see him back on the Baltimore Ravens. When looking at the Ravens depth chart and how he'll fit in, so they drafted Jalen Ferguson, who's expected to be probably a situational pass rusher. He was a sack machine in college, so they drafted him to do that, exactly. Tim Williams is another guy who they drafted who they expect to be a pass rusher. Matt Judon is their number 1 guy. He's going to be their starter and probably play all 3 downs, be a guy that can play edge for them and get after the quarterback, also stop the run. They don't have a Zadarius Smith type of run defender where he was really good in that department, but if they can just kind of mix and match all these different bodies, I think Baltimore can find a way around not having some elite edge defenders like they've had in the past with Terrell Suggs. So Tyus Bowser is also there, and they're expecting to get something out of him as he was a second-round pick. He was a high draft pick. I believe Tim Williams was a pretty high draft pick as well. So those two players, they really need to step up. They need to produce, because outside of Matt Judon, none of these guys have really produced. None of these guys have really stepped up and proven that they're anything big. So McPhee's going to come in here. He's going to push them in training camp, and he's going to have a role on this defense in 2019. I'm fascinated to see what type of role that's going to be. When also looking at the Ravens defense, I mean, they lack a little bit of depth in the interior in terms of their inside linebacker position. I would like to see them add a linebacker there, because without CJ Mosley, they're kind of naked at that position. So we'll see how they kind of work around the edge position and the linebacker position in general, and how they mix and match bodies and how they use guys within their scheme. I think that's the most interesting thing about the Ravens defense, because I do have questions about their defense. I think their front is still very good in terms of stopping the run. I think their secondary is excellent, but their kind of edge position, their linebacker position, has taken a significant dip after losing Suggs, after losing Zadarius Smith, and after losing CJ Mosley. Those are probably their three best guys. So they need to answer, and we need to see who's going to produce for them. And another guy to throw in that mix is going to be Pernell Mcphee. Overall, I really like this move for the Ravens. I think this was just another guy who knows the system, knows the defense, has exceeded in the defense before, and it reminds me a lot of Jamie Collins going back to the Patriots. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of this move. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you happy to see Pernell Mcphee back as a Raven? Gronk, spike the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to The Bottom Line View. We'll see you next video. Peace.